The title of this video is not clickbait. I genuinely set a world record on Forza Horizon 5. Now, for those of you who have been following the channel for a really long time now, you will remember that a little while ago, I made a video called The New Hypercar Holy Trinity. And it was about basically 3 brand new hypercars that were new to the scene that were basically going to be replacing the old hypercar Holy Trinity, which was the LaFerrari, the 918, and the P1. The cars that we chose were the Mercedes AMG 1, the Aston Martin Valkyrie, and the one that was the fastest and pretty much the most advanced out of them all, and in real life technically, the Zinger 21C. And for those of you who may remember, a little while ago, I made a video called Budget Hypercar, or something like that. But it was basically about the Ultima 1020. If you watched that video, you'll remember that I basically took that thing around the Goliath to try and set a new record, or just to see if it could keep up with the Zinger. Now, I forgot that I had taken the Zinger 21C around the Goliath just for fun, and I set a record with it. What I didn't realize was that it was a crap lap. So after I finished making that video, I then decided I wanted to try and rerun the Goliath race, but this time in a much more spec'd out and much more track-ready tune of the Zinger. And the results shocked me. Not only was my previous lap crap, but it was also sloppy. I did not realize how bad that Zinger lap was. So, after I finished the race, not only had I beaten my own record, but I was faster than myself with the same car by almost 20 seconds. Then I was like, okay, well now I actually gotta try and do this again because now I have a more track-focused lap. So now I had to basically come up with a new way on how to make this thing even faster than it was already before. And what I did was I broke out my genius and started a project that would last me for several days, until eventually I would set what is undoubtedly a world record for the Zinger 21C. And I have christened the project as Project Darkstar in honor of the plane that was flown in Top Gun Maverick. But that's not the only reason why. There is a trim level for the Zinger called the Blackbird, and I decided that this car would basically be the faster version of that. And those of you who know about the Blackbird will know that it was the fastest jet in the skies. And because the Darkstar is supposed to be faster than the Blackbird, I decided to just call this Zinger the Darkstar. And I know that the Darkstar isn't actually a real plane. I mean, it sort of is and it sort of isn't. The plane it's based on is very real. The Darkstar is a real thing, but the plane that was in the movie wasn't. But anyway, I set a record around the Goliath with 10 minutes and 57 seconds. And what I did to accomplish that goal was I had no traction control, no ABS, no STM, only manual. It was just me and the car. Not only did I break my record again, but I also managed to beat myself by 8 seconds. And here is a picture to demonstrate where I was in conjunction to where I was the last time. You're probably thinking that that is very impressive, but how do you know that you set a record? And I will show you how. A couple of nights ago, I spent about 2.5 hours scrolling through the leaderboard listings for all the cars that went around the Goliath, and I shit you not, there were 2 other people on this leaderboard that were faster than me, but they both had to have assists on. One of them was automatic, the other one had ABS on. So they basically had to have assists with driving and being faster. Me, it was just me and the car. No assists at all. So I spent 2.5 hours just scrolling through the pages and seeing how many other people may have gotten this, or maybe I was wrong. Normally, if you set a clean lap, that is a record in of itself, but that just comes down to having a clean lap. Anyone can do that. But it comes down to the fact that you need to set a lap with absolute skill, with absolute precision, and with utmost confidence that you're able to set a record, and that is what I did. Now you could say that I basically just set my own record with having a Zinger with no assists on, and that it's just a record in of itself, and those 2 people were faster than me. You could say that, or you could actually say that those people were only faster than me because they had to have assists on to be faster. But if they didn't, they probably wouldn't have gotten there. I'm trying to look at this record as though these people had to have assists on to be faster. Without those assists, they wouldn't have been faster. But what I found interesting is that I think it's fair to say not only was this the fastest time with no assists on a controller, but I think this was the fastest time on any platform in the world. I think I'm right in saying that, because I spent 2.5 hours looking at the leaderboards. So I basically had to go from the #1 place in the world, which any Forza players will know, there's a lot of cheaters at the top of leaderboards, so it's really hard to tell whether or not they're legit, because the top player on the Goliath leaderboard set like a 15-second lap with a stock car. Yeah, that's legit. But anyway, anyone who knows that there's a lot of cheaters on Horizon 5, I'm not like them. I like to do things genuinely. So when I set this record, I wanted it to be legit. Now, it did take me a few tries to actually get this record, actually to get the thing on a clean lap going respectively fast, but all that just comes down to taking the time and actually being willing to, fix errors and stuff. And that's what I did. I'm probably letting my ego get the best of me just by bragging about it, but I mean, come on. I mean, how cool is that? Not many people get to say that they get to break a record. They don't get to set a record like that. I mean, I'm all giddy right now because I cannot believe that I did that. Like, that is something that I did. Not many people get to say I did that, but that is something that I did. And yeah, I'm just super excited about it. One thing I was talking about with Gabe last night, because he was basically saying, well, what if I basically beat your own record? And I just basically said that I'll just beat your record again, bro, because this is sort of a common thing with me and Gabe. Gabe's been like the one person who I've been trying to push myself against, and he's been trying to push himself against me. I sort of jokingly said that we're like the Niki Lauda and James Hunt of Forza, because that's basically what we are. Anytime one of us sets a record, it's not that like we get pissed off at each other for it. I mean, we do, but it's mostly because we're so irritated on how one of us is faster than the other. Like, anytime monthly rivals would be a thing, we would always try and push ourselves in a car that we love to be faster than the other. This is like the one time where like we kind of recognize that anytime one of us wants to be faster than the other, it's not that we want to be faster just to show off, but it's mostly because one of us set a challenge for the other to try and accomplish. And if one of us were to accomplish that task, the other would then try to outperform it. That's why I basically said that we're like the Niki Lauda and James Hunt, because they were very like pushing each other to the limits and beyond the limit, trying to push I'm just so happy about it. That's why I basically said that like we're basically like the James Hunt and Niki Lauda of Forza, because we're constantly setting lap times and challenges that we're trying to have the other outperform, and it's just so cool. I honestly, I'm just very happy that this actually happened. This never happens with me. Now, you're probably wondering why I set a lap time with the Zinger, because the Zinger is probably my favorite hypercar, borderline mega car on this planet right now. I think it's fair to say that I kind of love this thing even more than the SSC Tuatara, mostly because of the fact that I'm actually able to drive it in Forza. I don't know if, again, I'm very hopeful that the SSC Tuatara is being able to be added to Forza Horizon 6. I have no idea. But yeah, I think it's fair to say that the SSC Tuatara has been dethroned as my favorite hypercar, and it's now been replaced by the Zinger. I really love the Zinger, I really love the SSC Tuatara, but in terms of like actually enjoying it, I'm only really able to enjoy one of them in Forza, and that's the Zinger. I just still cannot believe that actually did happen. But yeah, that's basically all I really wanted to talk about, that I set a world record for a car with no assists, and it's the only one of its kind on there. There's only 2 people that are faster than me, but they had to have assists on, so they don't count. And yeah, I could not be more happier than this. It's just amazing that this actually did happen. That's basically about it. Thank you for watching.